This month, we celebrate women, highlighting some dynamic shades of DMV women. This is ARTICO. Welcome to ARTICO. Let's get started. In this segment, we visit Imagination Stage in Bethesda, Maryland to experience the hula hooping queen and speak with some of the dynamic talent bringing this play to life.
Kamika, there's just so much to do. Maybe I can do both. If we work really hard together, and once the house is clean and the food is all done, then... Okay, but only if the house is clean.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about Miss Adeline.
So Miss Adeline, she is the matriarch of 139th Street. She's turning 80, and she's the one that pretty much is the wise sage on the block.
Yeah.
Reminding everyone that, you know, do what you love. You're gonna come across different types of people in your life. Stay true to yourself, and you'll be fine.
Why do you think that type of character is important in this story?
That's something that everyone needs reminding of every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. Because life will, no matter if you're a toddler all the way up to senior citizen age, Miss Adeline's age, you know, we need that reminder of, you know, life is gonna throw curveballs at you sometimes, but you gotta make sure that you are true to yourself and you do what you love. And yes, you can care about other people, but also make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your happiness and your peace first.
Right. How do you prepare for a role like Miss Adeline at 80? I mean, she's 80 years old and you're so youthful.
Well, so is Miss Adeline.
That's true.
Strutting her stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Her gentleness and her kindness and her softness. Even when she's disciplining, she's still soft in her discipline. I gather that from my great-grandmother, my Gaga, and my big mama. Yeah, whenever I think of Miss Adeline, I do think of them. So the two of them.
Shout out to Gaga, shout out to Big Mom.
Yeah.
Okay, so Renee, you play the character of Jamara.
Yes.
I was almost like, I don't want to talk to you because Jamara was a little mean in that play.
She's a little spicy, but I wouldn't call her mean.
Okay, so tell me more about your character.
Well, Jamara is a confident 11-year-old who has dreams of being the hula hoop queen, at least the best on her block in her neighborhood.
The hula hooping queen, the best you've ever seen. Tell all the Harlem towns I deserve to raise the crowd today.
And she has two best friends, and she's super supportive of them and their dreams until she's challenged by one of them to be the best. But other than that, she's great. She's a little confident. She's very smart, bright, and they're all super excited about school and moving their bodies.
Tell me how, or are there any similarities between you and your character?
Well, we both love a good ponytail.
Okay.
But Jamara has a really good family background, and I think I connect with her there.
Talk to me about what it's like to be an adult playing a childlike role.
Oh, that's
How do you
a really
channel?
good question. Well, I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by lots of youth. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so I definitely looked towards them for inspiration. But I think a big part of that was coming into the rehearsal room and just keeping my imagination open, seeing where I could play and have fun versus Renee trying to be studious and on paper. It was like, come in and use your body and get big and get small. And are you, shy, or are you embarrassed, or are you really confident in a moment, and trying to discover those levels.
What do you hope the audience takes away from it?
Well, I'm really hoping that the audience takes away this theme of being your best self. Not necessarily the best at something, but being your best. Are you giving it your all? Are you practicing? Are you supporting your friends and being their best? And that's what I want them to really take away from this story. I know Jamara sometimes comes off as a little overly confident, but she's good, and I think it's okay for her to be excited about what she's good at. But she's definitely super supportive of her friends, like Portia, who's an amazing flautist. And so,
Make responsible little girl. How you do your talk reflects how you live your life. What type of person you will become.
Your dad is cool, but he can be so funny sometimes. If it is important, make a commitment.
But our professional production started, the early 90s is when we started doing shows at this scale. The founders thought it was really important that young people deserve high quality art just like adults do. Sometimes companies will, not provide as many resources or kind of give them like second-rate attention.
Yeah.
And I think we could all feel in the audience today that when you
Prioritize.
when you give the students the full value, they just eat it up, and it really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
This particular show started 2 or 3 years ago, actually. These shows take a long time to develop because it's a world premiere. This is the world premiere of this show.
And
the
we're so
first
lucky.
performance was just last Wednesday. But it starts with the writer. It starts with the writer. And in this case, started with the children's book. So Thelma wrote the book, I think, in 2015 or 2016, and it got some pretty big press right after the beginning. Oprah, among others, kind of glommed onto it and thought it was really special, I think, in its the mix of its cultural specificity as well as sort of the universality of its message. And our partners in Arizona, Child's Play, they're a theater for youth in Arizona. They saw it on the news and they were like, this is something that could be made into a stage play. And so then we went through a process of, well, first they reached out to us. They wanted to do this with another organization, and we've worked with them before. And then we had to find a playwright to take the author's words and bring it to life.
Right.
So then you have a process where the writer delivers a script and you do a workshop. We've done 3 workshops, I think, at this point, where we bring actors into a room and start, what we say, put it on its feet. We see how the words on the page actually speak in the room, and the writer is furiously making edits the whole time. You really don't know what you have until you've seen it done.
Talk to me more about, I guess, the business side of how Imagination Stage even came about, the history of that.
Yeah, so our founder, Bonnie Fogel, she was a single mom in this area, and she was looking around for arts things to do for her kids, and she didn't find what she was looking for.
I can relate sometimes, but that's why we're here, right?
Exactly. And so, in the best of, I don't know, I do kind of think it's an American dream sort of story, to be honest with you, is she became an entrepreneur and she built the thing that she couldn't find herself. It started off as an academy. It was called the Bethesda Academy for the Performing Arts. So one of our current, probably the core program that we do here is our camps and classes, like all of the in-house education work. And that is really the heart and soul of the organization. It's the thing that's been around the longest. In our second decade, we noticed that that the arts were needed for all students, but so many students didn't feel, and families didn't feel like they had access to the program. So we instituted an access and inclusion program back in the late 80s. That's actually one of the things that really attracted me to working here, among lots of places I could have worked, because I've only been here for less than a year. I'm the successor of the founder. Is that things that I think have become in vogue recently, there's been a version of it that's been part of the core values of this organization from the beginning. In this case, in the late 80s, it was trying to make sure that our programs were inclusive for students with like physical and mental disabilities, for example. And later then we added a program for the hard of hearing and the deaf community.
Nice.
And now our access and inclusion programs, including prioritizing programming a piece like this, is sort of the next in line of an initiative that started.
Talk to me about your acting career. I mean, you're very well decorated, I'm looking here. How did you get into acting?
This is a story that I love to say.
Oh, tell us.
I love to share. So 4 years old was my very first time performing in front of an audience. My aunt took me to this talent show audition. It was kind of like the Gong Show. Anyway, we had on hula skirts, and my hair was out all the way down my backside, and we had flashlights. And there was a song called I think I'm telling my age right now. There's a song called Flashlight that the chorus is flashlight, and when the chorus came along, I was supposed to turn my flashlight on and just just shimmy and just not hula, but do the hula and shake my hair. And I remember my aunt over on the side saying, shake your hair. And I'm just standing there grinning and shaking my flashlight. I was bitten by the bug, and it's been growing ever since.
Is it similar to the hula hooping itch?
Yes, that was good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
We're out here in Northeast Washington, D.C. on 4th Street and Union Market, where this dope spot just popped up. I wish it was here when I was a little girl, but no worries. I'm gonna take you with me to the Museum for Black Girls. Let's go. How y'all doing?
Hello, welcome to the Museum for Black Girls.
I'm a Black girl, so I'm glad to be here. Can you tell me how y'all even got started with a space like this?
So the Museum for Black Girls started back in 2019 in Denver, Colorado. The owner, she's actually a photographer. So she started off the museum by just showcasing some of her photography work and doing art installation, and it became super popular in Denver, so that's how she got the idea to start the Museum for Black Girls.
We're here at the Museum for Black Girls, and I'm standing here with Stephanie Dallas. She's one of the curators and artists. She contributes to the museum. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Listen, tell me about this space that we're in. I mean, the museum is amazing, but this space specifically you contributed to. This is all of your work.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
So originally I heard about the museum. I went to the first location in Houston, and I loved it. When I finished that installation, the owner, she reached out to me and she said she was opening a location here in DC.
Nice.
The one in Texas I did Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce because they're both music artists from that area.
Right.
So I wanted to inspire women from that area. You know, there might be a young artist out there that wants to, you know, put their work out there, and that motivates them. So I wanted to do the same thing here by showcasing some artwork I made of Ari Lennox and Rico Nasty. Rico Nasty, she's actually from Maryland, and then Ari Lennox, she's from DC. She's also a DC native, so I really wanted to create something that is inspiring and you know, remind people that they're able to, you know, put their work out there and they're able to accomplish anything that they put their mind to.
How did you get inspired into just becoming an artist?
So I've been artistic my entire life. I've always loved to draw. I studied at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I have a minor in fine arts. So I really try to implement things I've learned, but art is just an escape for me. Art has always felt like a friend to me when, you know, I've been at my lowest points. So being able to showcase that is amazing to me, and it helps me, you know, keep going.
Okay, Stephanie, tell me about this exhibit. I've seen some of the other ones, but I want to say that this might be my favorite one because it talks about the first to do it, Black women.
Right. So this exhibit was actually curated and created by one of the co-founders, Vaughn Ross, and she really wanted to create an exhibit that captures all the amazing accomplishments that Black women do, just to keep inspiring, you know, the women that come after us and honor the women that came before us. That's really what this exhibit is for.
All this different visuals of just Black women being celebrated. I mean, right here we're seeing Halle Berry.
When people come in here, we really want them to be able to see themselves. Because when I come in here and I see all these Black women, I really see myself. So that's really our mission here. Just people come in here, they see all the Black women that have accomplished amazing things, and we want to let them know that you're amazing too.
Right now I'm joined with Renee Chris Art. Thanks for joining me.
Not a problem.
And behind her are some of her own pieces. So Renee, talk to me about your background in artistry. How did you get started?
I started when I was 5 years old. I was kind of a hyper child. My mother saw that art was something that was a calming, soothing situation for me and said, let's invest, because that's what keeps her quiet. But then I really got good at it and I liked what I did. And it grew and grew to the point where now I have my degree in graphic design. So, and my first love will always be paint on the canvas.
Or behind you actually
Yes.
is one of your original pieces. Say her name, Breonna Taylor. Where did the inspiration for this piece come from?
Well, back when the pandemic and then Black Lives Matter started, and there was a lot of protesting here in the city, this was one of the things that really spoke to me because, you know, this young lady died in her sleep. And to know that, you know, I'm a Black woman and I go out here and I try to conquer the world, and just knowing that I can't even sleep in my bed at night, you know, it was very shocking for me. So when everything that was going down with the protesting, I wasn't able to walk out and do all those things because I have a little one. So I had to protest in my own way, and this was my way of protesting. And I felt like she was the calm in the chaos because she was at peace, right? And there was so much chaos going on because of her situation and everything else that was happening. I painted this and gave you colors and variations and her lifeline and the gunshots. And as you can see, her face is in peace.
Talk to me about the Black Girls Museum. What brings you here and to share your artwork? Why do it?
Well, I'm a starving artist, meaning that I strive for the greatness within art, and you have to master so many things within art. So what brought me here, I was actually outside showcasing my artwork, and I ran into the owner, Charlie, and she saw something in my art and was like, I would love to showcase your pieces. And that was my way of walking in the door with my artwork.
Why would you say a museum like this is necessary?
To have something that specifically speaks for us, just Black women. You know, we've got the Black culture, we have the Black men, but you know, we're unrecognized with so many things that we can do as Black women. We keep our families together. We're keeping our men together. We're keeping our kids together. So this place is necessary to show women that we're giving their flowers now while we're alive and we're thriving rather than when we're gone.
Well, speaking of little girls, can you talk to me about this piece?
Yes. This painting was inspired by the actual museum. I wanted to do, you know, because it is for Black girls, but I didn't want to show one race of Black women. Vigalago is big within my family, so I wanted to showcase that as well, to let people know it's okay to be different, it's okay. Baidu, so this is another artist. I want to shout out to the other artists as well. They had created a picture and then I went and revamped it in my own style. But Baidu speaks values to me within her artistry and her being a musician. And I feel like what she's saying, I can interpret visually.
It's been a wonderful experience here at the Museum for Black Girls. Shout out to Renee and Stephanie for hosting us and showing us this wonderful space where we can just celebrate Black girl magic and our history. I'm Morgan Wood, and you are watching ARTICO on WHUT.
My name is Hadia Williams, and I am the founder and artist behind Black Pepper Paperie. I founded Black Pepper Paperie in 2017 after about 15 years of working as a graphic designer in Washington, D.C. Black Pepper Paperie was born out of the idea that I can add flavor and spice to your design, your event, your life, whatever you're wearing, whatever you're doing. At the time, it was started with the idea that I would focus on event design, on doing stationery for weddings. And that was because I had just done a really big wedding in late 2016 for a friend of mine, Chantrell Lewis, and her husband, Tony Lawson, the founders of Shop Black. And what I did for their wedding was they wanted the focus to be coming to America. I was able to take her idea and really turn it into something amazing. And that helped inform her on how she planned the whole wedding. So my work added this flavor to what she was doing that informed her. And so that was the idea behind Black Pepper Paperie. It was this paper company where I was doing stationery. But 2017, I picked up clay as a form of just kind of therapy, just something to do in the winter, something to kind of get my mind off of things. And I started focusing on clay. And that was really how my business kind of shifted to that, as opposed to me focusing on stationery design. I was still working for a nonprofit at the time. I was working as a graphic designer. And I would do clay, and Instagram it had been around, but it was in the earlier stages. Now it's a completely different place where people use it as a form of revenue. But then it was just a place to just share images, and so I started sharing my work on Instagram. And I did this challenge, the 100-day project. And the challenge was to share something creative for 100 days. You kind of pick a focus. My focus was black and white. And so in that, I was using the clay as like the main source of the black and white. So I started using polymer clay. And I began using that, which you can fire in your oven. You can just bake it in your oven. It's a very accessible form. So that helped me really learn clay, figure out what I wanted to do with it. And so I started making jewelry and little dishes, anything that I wanted to kind of figure out. And it was really just a hobby and experiment, me kind of learning how to use clay. And as I started sharing it, people, of course, were like, we love it, they wanted more. So I opened up an Etsy shop, which is what a lot of people do when folks are like, we want to buy something. And so I opened up an Etsy shop, and it did really well. Like, all the people who were following, they bought things, and I started doing like incense holders, and then I was invited to do pop-ups, and then, Shop Made in DC and Nubian Human. The Women's Museum in DC reached out to me, and they were like, come put stuff in our store. So all of these different places wanted me to make stuff to put in their stores, and it really was a very organic process. And so it wasn't planned, it was just something that was happening, and I just went with the flow, and yeah, it's been really amazing. So I used to call it mixed media, but I have kind of realized that I call it decorative art. Like, I feel like I've kind of been trying to figure out where I fit in. I'm not a fine artist, but when I started, it was maker was the term. And not that people don't use maker now, but I feel like my work was still in a different place than a maker space. So decorative arts, which involves furniture making, involves wallpaper, and that's really where my work lives now. So I say decorative art because West African art is a big inspiration for me, and even for like there's always this kind of reaching back and kind of reinterpreting this African art. So that was my influence, which I think black and white is always at the core of that because it is very, very classic. I am a lover of vintage. I am a lover of I say old things. Always stuff seems like from a different era, which I consider classic. It's like I don't think about it like I want these cultural things, but just what I'm attracted to, what I'm drawn to, what I create. there is that undercurrent of this influence of, I think, like the Black American culture, which, yeah, like to me, that's the aesthetic of, you know, when people are like, we don't have an aesthetic. I think our aesthetic is just this culmination of, you know, this whole diasporic experience. This here is, these are fabrics from my collection that I did with Schumacher in New York. And this was a collection, this is one of the first surface design collections I actually worked on. Den, which is the home. This is based on the constellations, so that these are, you know, the points of like the different stars that come together, and thinking about the North Star and how that was a big catalyst for movement. Then there's a set of boxes up here. I did a series of art designs for the sister box, which with AARP. I did some artwork, and I worked with Diane Holton, who is a creative director there, and she works on the sister letter, which is their newsletter. It focuses on Black women. And so this was a box, and they wanted to bring in a Black artist to design the box. So I created the artwork, and she took that artwork and turned it into these beautiful designs. And inside there are some branded pieces. So they did, you know, different things for each season. I did something for the American Museum of Natural History in New York. And some of these are left over from that. And I did mugs and pictures for them. And the inspiration behind these are the Bamileke sculptures, that they're like the royal sculptures that they would have. Gorgeous beaded sculpture, and it's clay actually on the inside, which is really cool, because I don't think I realized that it was made of clay. You see that. This is part of a collection I did that just released last week with Lulu in Georgia, which is an interior design company. So they're direct to consumer, so you can buy online. And then I'm always creating, I'm always learning.
Y'all know what I'm gonna be doing this summer, right?
A little bit.
Yes, yes. Oh, all right, let's see if we can do it here. I'm scared. Wait a minute, hold on. All right, here we go.
Your arms up high, and then I'll put it in your...
I'm like, what am I doing? Wait. And that's a wrap.
This program was produced by WHUT and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. For more information on this program or any other program, please visit our website at WHUT.org. Thank you.